Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be going over Ethereum miners will have few good options after the merge. So this is an article from Forbes and it's basically going over what options we have as miners after the merge. So let's just get right into it. It just starts off by going over what happens. After years of waiting, debating and delays, Ethereum's pending merge of proof of stake finally has a launch date. Now Ethereum miners are finally going to have to answer a multi-billion-dollar question: what will they mine when Ethereum 2.0 launches? Ethereum developers have scheduled the merge for block number, whatever that number is, which should fall on September 15th or 16th. When this happens, Ethereum will migrate to a completely different consensus mechanism, one that secures the blockchain using a capital locked up in a validated nodes instead of using computers currently used for proof of work. This will leave Ethereum miners holding a 4 billion bag of hardware. It says here in this picture mining hardware value, Bitcoin is something like 5 billion, 5.5 billion, and Ethereum is 4.1 billion. They will want to deploy this hardware elsewhere, no doubt, but the question remains, where can they go to reap some same returns as Ethereum? There are two options on the table: mine other GPU compatible coins like Ethereum Classic or Ravencoin or Flux or any of these coins that we have, or mine a proposed Ethereum fork that will remain proof of work. Unfortunately for Ethereum miners, neither will furnish them the cash flows that they have generated on Ethereum. With the merge, Ethereum shrugs off an $18 billion industry. Proof of stake has been in Ethereum's roadmap since its inception, though it's been delayed time after time again for years. In December 2020, things began to accelerate with the launch of the Beacon chain, which is actually the start of the merge. Like, they actually implemented stuff towards the merge, and the central nervous system for Ethereum 2.0, and the first concrete technical step for Ethereum's development team to make the merge a reality. Fast forward to today, the developers have tested the Ethereum 2.0 merge and its architecture on multiple testnets. These tests were successful enough that Ethereum's team felt confident enough to firmly pick an activation time. So obviously we've seen in the past few weeks, we've seen basically testnets. We had the Kiln testnet and then we had the Galori testnet as well. Despite the pending merge, Ethereum miners still poured money into graphics cards and other mining equipment. Unlike Bitcoin, Ethereum is still mostly mined with GPUs, and only 10% or so of Ethereum's computing power comes from ASICs. I don't believe that's actually the truth. I think it's more like 50% of it comes from ASICs. I think there was a big debate in the mining community on how much ASICs were actually taken up on the network, and it kind of came out that there was a lot more ASICs on the network than originally thought. So onlookers might wonder why Ethereum miners invested so much in hardware even though they knew that Ethereum's endgame has always been proof of stake. One peek at Ethereum's performance in 2021 bull market and its thriving ecosystem of DeFi applications, and they have their answer. Ethereum mining has been extremely lucrative, even more so than Bitcoin mining. I think Ethereum mining actually produced more money to miners than Bitcoin mining in the last 2 years, something like that. Yes, you read that correctly. In 2021, Ethereum mining revenue trumped Bitcoin mining revenue, and as so, Ethereum's mining over year revenue from August 17th, 2021 to August 17th, 2022. So this picture just shows the revenue and the mining rewards for Ethereum and Bitcoin. In 2021, Bitcoin's mining revenue or whatever mining profits was 16.7 billion and Ethereum was 18.4 billion. And then if you go year to year, you see it's 13.9 billion. The primary driver of this revenue is Ethereum's suite of so-called decentralized finance applications. Platforms like Uniswap, Compound Finance, Aave, and others also allow to borrow and lend Ethereum-based assets using smart contracts and their on-chain accounting. For such platforms, the fee revenue made up of large chunks of Ethereum mining revenue during the 2021 bull run, at times over 50%. An Ethereum code changed, the EIP 1559, altered this last August. Now the network sends all the transaction fees to an inaccessible address. So they used to get transaction fees off, mine extractable value, and then it used to be way higher back in 2021 bull run, and they used to give it out, but now they've actually taken it away from mining. So you used to be able to make way more mining Ethereum back then, but you still get decent profits now. Ethereum miners have supplemented fee revenues using so-called mine extractable value, that's what I was talking about, also known as maximal extractable value strategies. With MEV, miners use specialized software and private mempool to target lucrative trading opportunities. So basically when a block has a lot of transactions on it, you get MEV from that. So far they haven't actually implemented that into Ethereum Classic, and I would like to see that they actually do that in the future because it could provide more profits to those mining Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic and ETH POW fork are lackluster alternatives. So this is just going over Ethereum Classic and the ETHW that we saw in previous videos that I made like about 2 days ago, something like that. Ethereum mining has always been exponentially lucrative, so much so that no current alternatives offer nowhere near the same levels of renumerization. Chief among these alternatives is Ethereum Classic, which split off from the present day Ethereum after a hard fork following the infamous DIO attack in 2016. Ethereum Classic mining, for example, only netted miners 318 million last year compared to Ethereum's 18 billion, a nearly 60-fold difference. Going further, Ethereum Classic's aggregate computer power hash rate is only 1/30th of Ethereum's own. I think it's actually less than that, it's like more like 1/40th right now. The more hash rate a network has, the more competition there is for blocks, which means that the miners earn fewer rewards per unit of hash rate. Put in a different way, Ethereum Classic could not support even a fraction of Ethereum miners without having to mine profitability into the ground. As it stands, Ethereum Classic would need to increase 5,000% if miners were to reap the same rewards on Ethereum Classic that they did on Ethereum, should they all decide to move there. So yeah, actually Ethereum Classic really needs to go up in price for it to become profitable for basically any amount of GPUs. I think it can sustain maybe double the hash rate it is now and still become profitable. But after that, it's not looking likely. Maybe, triple the hash rate. If it goes up to 100 terahash, it may be able to support it. But after that, I don't really think that we're going to see any profitability. Of course, there are other GPU compatible coins that they can mine, but Ethereum Classic uses a slightly modified version of Ethereum's hashing algorithm, so Ethereum Classic would be the easiest to switch. None of the other viable coins offer much in any way of comparable value either. The combined year-over-year mining revenues of Ethereum Classic, Dogecoin, Monero, for example, barely went over 1.1 billion, so nowhere near to Ethereum's if we see on this chart. Ethereum's up there with like 16 billion, and then all of these don't even add up to 1 billion. Ideally, Ethereum's hash rate will spread across their proof-of-work alternatives, but even if this happens, miners won't recoup the revenues they earned on Ethereum. If Ethereum Classic has any hopes of fostering these revenues, they need to use DeFi applications as part of their network. So then it just goes on to this ETH POW that we talked about a couple days ago. If you can't beat them, fork them. In somewhat might call a half-baked effort to keep Ethereum true to its roots with proof of work, a contingent of the Chinese ETH miners have proposed a hard fork which would keep Ethereum as a proof of work chain. This fork ticket is sometimes referred to as ETHW or ETH POW. This hard fork is tentatively scheduled for roughly September 8th, almost a week before the merge. Interestingly enough, a man who is one of the chief architects of Ethereum Classic fork, we did talk about this earlier in the week, is one of the leaders before this fork as well. It just goes on to say about this Chandler Gu and his Twitter and then the manifesto of proof of work. One of the tenants laid out this statement claims that the project will not idolize leaders. Others says that the project will aim to decentralize itself in 3 years' time, and then others states it will abolish EIP 1559 to introduce transaction fees. So I'm just going to skip over that. You can check out the full article in the description below, but there is a lot to go over the ETHW, but we've already covered it in one video, so if you want to... It says the trading strategies we discuss above will only be available to those with advanced technical proficiency, since it's unlikely that any of the front ends of popular DeFi applications will emerge before the ETH POW fork. Traders will have to use their own Ethereum nodes to communicate with the protocol directly in the back end. That said, a handful of exchanges have already announced their support for ETH POW. The most notable are Polynex and BitMEX, while Binance, Hebo has said that they may support the fork if certain criteria are met. For Polynex and BitMEX part, the current markets are essentially future trade-ins in the form of perpetual swaps. If the fork is successful, these markets will likely open up to spot trading, allowing Ethereum users and ETH POW users to dump forked coins if they choose. And they probably will dump it, to be honest, and this is what this just says here. While there's a good chance that Ethereum POW pumps in the first few hours or so after the fork, there's no reason to think that the coin will hold any medium to long-term value. As with Ethereum Classic, it could have very few real users, nor does it currently have any developer support to sustain the DeFi applications that have made Ethereum so popular. Further, there are still too many open-ended questions surrounding this fork, chiefly whether or not wallets or exchanges will support the fork to give other users access to Ethereum POW. The average user will need such support to access the fork coins, otherwise it will only be those enough with technical prowess to run their own nodes and understand the Ethereum code well enough to access them by speaking directly into the Ethereum protocol. All of that to say, the only way the most folks to safely trade this fork right now is to play the exchange and list. Same goes for Ethereum Classic. For the majority of Ethereum holders and users, there's not much to do except long, short these assets. grab some popcorn and watch the fireworks when the ETH Power fork and the merge come to pass. So as I said, the ETH Power is going to be coming out on the 8th of September, I believe, so it's going to be a week before the actual merge, and we're going to be live streaming that, so make sure you tune into the channel there. We're going to be live streaming it, looking at different coins, which ones are actually receiving a lot of hash rate from the Ethereum network. But overall, I think the Ethereum Power is not going to be worth anything just because it's not really linked to anything. Ethereum has this whole network built up, Ethereum Power has just literally started, and Ethereum Classic actually has a network built up from 2016. So they've actually had time to grow it out, but they still can't sustain a large amount of hash rate onto their network. Ethereum Power is not going to be able to work, I don't think, in the long run, just because Ethereum Classic is there, and that's kind of just Ethereum Power, but different. You know, it's just like a straight copy of Ethereum Power. So personally, I think that Ethereum Classic will be the next coin, but we're going to have to wait and see. Remember to tune into the live stream on the 15th of September, and I'll leave links to this article in the description below. Like the video and subscribe for more content like this.